Hi, this is Julie Murphy with Arizona Farm Bureau, and it's Friday. It's almost 10 o'clock. We go live. We talk to our farmers and ranchers. This time we're doing a series. I think this is going to be our 7th or 8th one, where we're featuring our extension experts from the University of Arizona. If you've been following this series, you know that extension is kind of that literally extension from the university where the research is done a lot of times. Extension helps us to apply it. That's a simplistic, you guys would be correcting me on all sorts of things, but extension is here for you and me. It's for the community. There's all sorts of programming that goes on extension, and we're trying to get to several of the extensions throughout the state of Arizona. Well, this Friday we're up in Globe, right?
Yep.
And this is the Gila County Extension, and I'm talking to Ashley
Dixon-Kleiber.
And
Renee Carstens.
Renee Carson. And I'm basically going to ask you a lot of the questions I've been asking some of the others, but I'm also going to ask your core competencies, like maybe a featured program that certainly many in the community may know of, but you guys are quite proud to talk about. But before I even do that, and I forgot about the mic, so it's fun. It's live. We do all sorts of fun things. Before I ask that, I've been asking everybody, in your own words, Renee, we'll start with you. Why is extension, in your own words, makes extension special?
I think what makes extension special is that it makes it accessible to everyone. Because it is evidence-based, research-based curriculum and practices that can be taken out anywhere in the community because of the small satellites that are all over Arizona. So it reaches everybody.
Awesome. What about you?
I would say very similar. We're able to work with community entities as well as stakeholders and just the community at large to meet community needs, but in a way that takes research-based information, so accurate information that's been kind of vetted, and dispersed it to the communities at large, which is kind of a unique aspect. And we're in every county, like Renee said. So we work we all live in the community too. So we all have vested interests in meeting the needs of the individuals in the community and the entities in the community. And we all want to give people accurate information.
Awesome. What is your position with Gila County Extension? And then give me a little bit about your background. And be forewarned, I'm going to ask you the same question.
Yeah. So I am the Family Consumer Health Science Agent in Gila County. I've been in that position for about 8 years. And then I'm also the Interim County Director for Gila County as well. Yep.
So you guys are looking for a new full-time director for Gila County Extension.
I don't think it's posted. No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
It's not. Yeah.
So don't watch for the application yet. Maybe they'll do it
No,
later.
yeah. And in the rural counties, people are not, so you have to be an agent and a county director. So
Okay.
as opposed to like I'm in Maricopa County, although he is an agent as well. Maricopa County and Pima County have people who are just county directors.
Okay.
But in all of the rural counties, you're an ag agent, a 4-H agent, or a family consumer health science agent and a county director.
Went to U of A?
I did not. I actually went to ASU.
Go Devils, so did I.
We can all get along.
Yeah, we can all get along. And the Farm Bureau staff, which is dominated by U of A graduates, they still love me. Remember, I said that live on Talk to a Farmer Friday. Now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my background, I actually have been around Extension for a long time, but I started working in Extension when I was 19, and then and had different positions kind of in different counties, and then even went and worked for Purdue Extension as well, and then came back here.
Oh.
So
well, and you and I are both from Pinal County,
right?
So we've got a common
Yeah.
identifier.
That's back when it was actually rural.
When it was actually rural.
Yeah.
So how about with you, Renee? What's your position and your background?
When I'm actually retired. I retired just recently, and I was an educator for many years and came on about 9 years with the university under the 4-H
Okay.
program.
Okay.
And so I worked coordinating a lot of the 4-H programming, and then took on the county director position for the last part of my along with 4-H.
Okay.
And so
you've retired, but it sounds like they kind of draw you back, or
I'm happy to come back when need be. I actually, before I left, I filled out all the paperwork so that I could be a volunteer with the program, and so I volunteer.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Because I keep thinking about, when I retire, what I want to do, and I'm thinking maybe I should just be a volunteer 4-H leader or something, because they're always so
you should.
They're always so in need.
We can give you a name if you want that.
Okay.
We always are in need of good volunteers, and
Yeah,
definitely.
Cool. So give me like a highlight personal experience, Renee, especially when you were fully ensconced here at Gila.
I guess the highlight experience is what we're going to talk about a little bit more, is the Ag Days. And so that's something that really drew me in, because I was previously an educator in the classroom for 26 years. So being able to take hands-on learning experiences to our young students and children and youth in the community, and then draw them into a field trip experience after the classroom learning, makes it just, to me, the best way to educate youth. And so we'll dive into a little bit more, but it's the Ag Days.
That's awesome. How about for you, a personal highlight, or just the experiences of working for Extension from your perspective?
Sure. I think there's too many to count, but since I'm in family consumer health science, that is, we have a lot of feel-good stories, so to speak. So I would say it's kind of a compilation of many things, but, seeing parents have aha moments when you're teaching financial literacy, or when you're teaching parenting and positive parenting skills, and they're like, oh my gosh, this is why I've been fighting with my teen for, the last 6 months, or those kinds of things. Seeing people gain control over their finances when we teach financial literacy, and be able to save, and they haven't been able to save for the last, decade. And then also we do early vision and hearing and developmental screenings, and then make referrals as needed. And that's had some really cool outcomes with getting kids, 3 or 4-year-olds glasses that have, they had all these maybe challenges walking and doing fine motor and gross motor skills, and it all had to do with they just couldn't see very well, and getting them glasses. And it's made a world of difference, and now they're kind of school ready and that kind of thing. So all those kinds of things, I think, add up and make it, the hard work and long days, worth it, and all the grant writing and all of that. So it can be a really inspiring job and field if it's a passion.
Yeah. So those videos that we sometimes see, or those short reels where they put the hearing aids on the little child or the glasses, and they even get emotional,
right?
Because they're hearing their mama.
Right.
I'm telling you, they make me cry.
Oh,
so
definitely.
That's so real.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. It is very real.
It's just like, and I'm such a sentimental soul anyway. I get all verklempt when I see things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to talk about, it's called Ag Days. DAZE is how you spell it, right? And it's an educational program. But before we launch into it, for our audiences, and especially for somebody that's come into this series, like this is the first time they're seeing about Extension, somebody rattle off, I'll ask you to do that, your major programs that you do in Extension, just for a refresher.
Sure. In Gila County, well, across the state, we have kind of 3 main pillars, which is, well, we'll say 4 main pillars. So we have 4-H, which was what Renee worked in. We have family consumer health sciences. So that's kind of anything. Well, I'll rewind. So 4-H is anything youth development, really. And so it encompasses both clubs, but also educational components. And really the goal is to support youth in gaining the skills needed to be solid citizens, but also into the careers that they potentially want to go in. So whatever in a larger umbrella, that can mean many things beyond just the clubs, which is the traditional 4-H model.
So that's the youth pillar.
Yep, and then we have family consumer science, and that's anything that has to do with families. So that's the parenting, the financial literacy, nutrition, and early childhood. We support child care providers also throughout the state, and making sure that they are bringing in, or that they're setting up healthy and safe environments for the young children that they serve. Financial literacy, like I said. We also, in other counties, do a lot of food safety and food preservation and that kind of thing. Then we have ag and natural resources, which is what most people are familiar with. At least traditionally, that's what most people are familiar with. And that's the crops, cattle, any livestock, equine, so on and so forth. And also master gardener falls under that. And we even have we do a little bit of forestry here because we border some national forests. And then we also have FERTEP, which in our county here, and that's federally recognized extension tribal. Is that right? Program, tribal program. And so we have FERTEP agents on the tribes in our county.
Oh, cool.
And Family Consumer Science works a lot with our FERTEP agent here. Shout out to Juan Arias and his team. But it's really, FERTEP serves our tribal nations and indigenous people in Arizona. It's actually a federal program, but in Arizona we have the biggest FERTEP program in the country.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
So Gila County has the largest.
Well, in Arizona, yeah, has
okay.
the largest. Arizona has the largest FERTEP program, but we have FERTEP agents in Hopi, Navajo Nation. I think Paskayaki, anyway, Tohono O'odham, and a few others. So we have quite a few, and their job is really kind of to facilitate the different areas of extension. They often do a lot of agriculture and natural resources. But also, like Juan here in for the San Carlos Apache, does a lot with like gardening, and it's really meeting community needs and 4-H.
So he has to cover all four pillars within the one pillar,
right? Yeah,
on behalf of the indigenous people,
right?
Very cool.
And then we, as county agents, also he and I have written grants together to do certain programs and that kind of thing. So the county agents also help facilitate their specific areas of programming as well.
So you would be proud of me. I had she's a new rep for us for iHeartMedia because we do a little bit of advertising, and she says, I'm so excited to pick you guys up as a client. We've been with iHeartMedia, but she's a newly assigned account agent, I guess is what you'd call her. And she goes, but when I get older, I want to be a farmer, but I don't even know where to begin. And I said, well, then where do you live? And she said, Maricopa County. I said, perfect, because Maricopa County, right. So under the ag pillar, she can go through the Master Gardener program. I said, you should at least start there because you want to get that green thumb. And then Maricopa County has that program. It's a series of courses for beginner farmers.
Okay.
So that's, of these four pillars, it's kind of neat. And I was sort of proud of myself for telling her that she needs to go to extension.
I should also add here in Gila too, for ag and natural resources, we have range monitoring, which every
really improve their rangelands
Right.
thanks to the things that you guys are doing.
Right.
Okay, so let's talk. So under those 4 pillars, under that youth programs pillar is Ag Days. So you start out. Tell me all about it, Renee.
Well, Ag Days has been around prior to me even being employed with the University of Arizona. So I think there's about 15 years history in Ag Days. It was initiated with the 4-H agent that was in Gila County and the Tano NRCD, who really wanted to reach a younger audience to help them understand where their food comes from, where their clothing comes from, and many of the everyday products that they use, and give our students a better understanding of what farming's like, what Arizona agriculture, what highlights in Arizona agriculture. And so that was developed and initiated, and the concept is to have education in the classrooms, and it's targeted at 4th and 5th graders, predominantly 4th graders, but the smaller communities do. We go every other year in the smaller communities in Gila County, and so 4th and 5th graders are our audience, and we go into the classrooms. We try to reach out to homeschool youth as well, and we provide, it used to be about 5 lessons or 5 hours of lessons, and then a day at a working ranch at the Brownbills Arena in Tano Basin. And it has now morphed into 8 lessons that go into the classroom.
Wow.
And it's constantly growing. And so we go into the classrooms, we teach these lessons about agriculture, introduction to agriculture, cotton, nutrition. There's a variety of different ones, zoonotics, how disease is spread.
Oh, right.
And then
that's perfect.
Yeah, it's really fun. And they're all hands-on lessons. So the kids, we're not coming in and doing presentation. We're engaging them throughout these lessons. And then they spend a day in April at the working ranch, and they get to see what it's like. And those are all they rotate into hands-on activities at the working ranch. And so it's a wonderful opportunity. I used to teach the intro lesson, so I would go into the classrooms, talk to the kids about, what is agriculture? How does it impact your life? And why is it important? And where does your food come from? And I'm amazed at how many kids really, truly don't know where their food comes from.
Yeah.
They're, at the store. Well, before it gets to the store, where does it come from?
Yeah.
And so we dive in deeper. And then when we see them at the ranch in April, they're like, I know this. And they start rattling all some of the facts, and they'll talk about their favorite lessons and so forth. And so I know this program has made long-term changes in some of our youth lives and understanding of they're not only about food production and understanding where their food comes from, but they understand the importance and the value of taking care of their environment and maybe having a career in farming or science or technology because of some of these lessons that may have inspired them to dive a little deeper into looking into a career field.
That is so awesome. And it's at least 15 years old. Do you know what was the genesis of it? Possibly. I know it's been 15 years. So,
well, I think it comes from youth development and wanting to engage youth in that evidence-based research. And I, as an educator, previously a classroom teacher, I think that reaching youth at a younger age has that foundation to make it a longer sustainable thought process of engaging in their community and engaging in the earth and environment. When they have these small little lessons, it turns into those life skills, becoming problem solvers and thinking a little bit deeper into some of those lessons. So I think I wasn't part of the original 15 years, but I think that was the original focus, was
an inspiration. And 4th and 5th grade is such a cute group or age group. They still trust the teachers and they'll still listen to their parents, but their skill set in terms of mobility and everything else they do, they just have these bright faces. They're ready to always dive in. Katie Akins, who's in charge of our ag education program at Arizona Farm Bureau, I think her master's thesis was on, retention and testing and then tying it into ag education. And proof of the pudding, kids retain the knowledge better. You've said that more than once because it's so hands-on.
Mm-hmm.
They really get something out of it.
They do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything to add on that? I know that your pillar is more the family.
Well, so I think that, and the reason that I kind of chose this as one of our kind of highlight programs, is because because it encompasses all of our areas. So, I will go and teach nutrition and, like kind of knowing where your food comes from and different parts of plants that we eat and all of that kind of stuff. And then Ashley Hall, so our range monitoring agent, teaches range monitoring to the kids. And then we utilize people from campus, to teach the zoonotics and that kind of thing. So I think one of the cool parts about it is that it kind of is all encompassing of all of the pillars of extension. And to an extent that we could probably even expand it down the line. But it's a great also integration and, collaboration with our community partners and, collaborators, and we use also volunteers to teach some of the lessons and that kind of thing. So I think it kind of highlights the beauty of extension, and is a showcase of all of our areas.
I like that you're pulling in the expertise from everybody from the various program areas within extension, and then even tapping into volunteers. And it sounds like students from the campus or professors from the campus, or is it professors? Professors.
Yeah.
So everybody's getting involved in this, and I think the other thing that does from the side of the stakeholders here in extension and all of the volunteer leaders that you guys tap into is they realize how important it is to teach ag in the classroom and how important this industry is to them. I mean, we cannot live without agriculture. So we have to be teaching it. So now I'm going to segue into if you have one defining, inspiring experience from what you did as an extension agent. Now, you kind of reference that from your day-to-day when you see that aha moment from a parent when they realize, oh my gosh, this is why I'm not communicating right with my teenager, or oh my gosh, that makes my day-to-day that much easier as a parent. But is there something that just really inspired you, Ashley, that you've referenced before, or is it just a general experience?
Yeah, I think it's still too many. I mean, I can think of a few. One in particular, this was I was working in a different context in extension, but, I was still working in extension in Arizona. We had worked with families, and, it was at a family resource center, and we were kind of supporting families, empowering parents, all these we had programming about child development, and that kind of thing. And, seeing the mom, in this case, she was a stay-at-home mom, an immigrant actually, and she had older kids who weren't kind of hitting their developmental milestones and things like that. And it was just more of a case of she didn't know kind of what she needed to do to encourage, and culturally she had been taught, not to speak to young children because they don't know how to speak. So what's the point, type of thing. And her youngest child, she was putting to the test all of these things that she was learning, and she was talking to him, and ultimately he excelled, and going into school. And then she also, along the way, became like an advocate for other parents, and it was just a really cool experience to see her kind of come into her own, but also see her children really reap the benefits from all the things she was learning, and it set them up for success, and that was a real success story. She ultimately got a job and all of these things that made her a great person in the community, and it was
So cool.
Yeah.
Truly, the programming is transformative, and I think as an employee, or a team member for Extension, when you get to see that, you can say to yourself, it's like worthwhile what I do.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Do you have any like one specific?
Oh my gosh.
And
I know.
I know you
It's
have
too
a lot,
many.
probably.
It's too
but-
many.
It's so many too, with 4-H and the youth development program and the expanse that, I mean, there's so many activities that we've done. I'm going to just rattle off a couple, and I'm going to keep it short.
No,
But
we're good.
our farm to table group developed a community garden at the food bank, and so now they have at our local food bank here in town a garden that is just thriving and doing super well. That is directly harvested, directly going to the food bank on
Right.
Fridays.
Awesome.
And so that's just a simple one-step thing, but just huge, and
Yeah.
which makes a positive change. To our underwater robotics group that
Oh, wow.
started very, very small, and then we have a waiting list to get into. To our
And you said underwater robotics.
underwater
Right.
robotics,
Yeah.
yes.
Wow.
Way above my
The metaphor intended,
Thank
way
God
above
for
your head.
volunteers that can come in and teach these things. And so our livestock group for our youth that come in and have are just the first year or even the second year and just learning their the animal that they're working with as their project and going through the learning opportunities of raising and caring for an animal and taking it to the market sale,
Right.
the auction. And seeing just the growth of their knowledge and their experience and their confidence as they go through this experience. We have a beef cook-off that is phenomenal in the spring every year, and it's always maxed out. We have it at our fairgrounds, and we can offer this to 112 kids, and we have everybody at capacity. And they learn to work as a team together and do an entree. And then we have local elected officials and community partners that are our judges. And so our youth are talking to these people in the community. They're building relationships. And everything just morphs into a larger and larger.
Right.
The changes and the positive connections that happen in the community and those life skills that the kids learn through this experience are just countless. And so I know I just did a small little sliver, and I'm sorry for all those other programs that I didn't talk about,
Right.
but it's so exciting to come and be part of something and to watch an idea of a volunteer or a youth that says, I would really like to do this. And then all of a sudden it grows because we can pull resources together and make it happen. And that's our kayak club and our fishing programs, where the kids can go to Roosevelt and fish. All of those are inspired from our youth or our volunteers that say, our kids really, really want to do this. And so they become the voice and the advocate for, and that's how so many different programs in Gila County start.
And I do think some of the more rural counties within Arizona, I don't know if it's easier to build community, but you certainly find the opportunities to build community, because if you're resource short in an area, well, that's why everybody comes together. And the other thing that I was thinking about, and I haven't asked anybody else this, so there are other like community engagement volunteer programs out there. There's the Boys and Girls Club, which is just a fantastic organization for youth. There's, FFA through the school system is also another. But what do you think, and this is just for both of you, what do you think distinguishes or makes something unique about all of the engagement you have for the community through Extension? So is there another dimension, or is there another point? Maybe it's the resource, maybe it's the fact that you're tied into the University of Arizona. Is there something that makes you guys, well, you are exceptional, but is there something about Extension that makes it more exceptional for the community?
Yeah, so I think there's a few answers. I think one of them is that we are tied to a university and utilize, kind of the research that's coming out of the university so people can rely on us for accurate information. And curricula that we utilize is always research-based and or evidence-based, that kind of thing. We utilize research and do evaluation on our programming too. But something that's kind of, I think, woven throughout Extension is community development, and we all in our respective areas pull together resources that already exist, do our best not to replicate, but to fill gaps in the community needs, whatever those may be, where they're located, and then work with other community entities to meet those needs. Our goal is never to replicate, but rather to fill gaps and to deliver quality programming. So I think, yeah, like programs like Boys and Girls Club can thrive next to Extension, and we can support in other ways, whether that be coming in and doing some, programming that will support the existing program. But I feel like the community development and building collaborations and partnerships is kind of something that also sets us aside quite a bit.
Cool. Any other thoughts on that, Renee?
Ashley covered that
She
really
did
well.
cover it really, and I kind of threw that one out you guys, and I hadn't asked, but it was just striking me based on so many of the activities, how they build and grow, and it's almost like the whole community comes together. And this is Gila County, so it's a smaller county. It's more rural. I don't know if it's all of our counties in Arizona are big, geographically. So you can't really say small, but that's just distinct and unique, and it is more rural.
Right.
I think it's fair to say that. So last question, is there anything, especially for our Gila County residents, that they can anticipate, expect, hope for, anything new coming down the pipe, or even if it's not something so much new, but what do you see as tomorrow's for Gila County Extension? You want to start with that question, Renee? I know you're retired, but you are a volunteer leader.
Right. I think that throughout Gila County, there's always opportunities to grow our program. There's always opportunities to learn about. Our world's always evolving and always changing, and so are our needs in the communities. And so staying involved, learning about how you can volunteer if you're retired, or even if you're not retired and you just want to go and volunteer. Through all of our programs, you don't need to volunteer and make it a year-round commitment. It could be volunteering on a weekend to teach kids how to change tires of a vehicle and teaching that life skill. Right. So we can tap into having people help in so many ways. And so I think we're constantly evolving and changing with the community needs. We're not stagnant. We don't just say, this is what we do and this is the only thing we do and we stay in this box. It's always evolving, always changing in all of those pillars, not just 4-H, but all the pillars.
I like that. It's thinking outside the box, and there's always something that someone wants to learn, and they know they can tap into you guys for it. Any other thoughts on what
I would just reiterate that we're constantly examining and doing kind of needs assessments to see kind of what the needs are, and as things change in the world, we also change with that for emerging topics and that kind of thing. And like, for example, screwworm, just has come about. And so Ashley Hall did a publication on it and has been doing some programming on that to inform people. So those kind of hot topics in the moment, we also try to combat and make sure we're getting out accurate information. But yeah, just continued quality programming from all the pillars, 4-H, A&R, FCHS, everything. We'll continue those. We're looking at potentially doing some kind of family-focused maybe events here to come in the next year or so, larger events. And then also we're going to probably do some family, friend, and neighbor programming in San Carlos. So working with all of those people that care for young children that are not child care providers, and expanding that a bit. So yeah, it's continuously evolving. And yeah, if there are needs that arise, please give us a call and tap into resources that exist. Yeah.
That's neat. Ashley and Renee, thank you so much. I always go away, and Joel and I talk about it on our drives home. One of the things that is a noted characteristic of all of you is the enthusiasm that you have for the programs, and especially our youth, and just trying to resolve challenges that might be in the community. And I can vouch for all of you, because we've interviewed so many people, that your enthusiasm is not only contagious, but it's evident in the forefront. So thank you, all of you, for everything you do.
Thank you.
And thank you for those that joined us live on this Talk to a Farmer Friday. And also know that this series we uploaded on Arizona Farm Bureau's webpage, which is azfb.org. And that series will maintain or remain there for perpetuity, I guess is how we can say it. If you ever have any questions or curiosities, and if you discover that Renee got famous on Talk to a Farmer Friday. But blessings to everyone. It's December. It's the holiday season. So Merry Christmas.
Yeah.